Hey everyone, JW or JDubs here. You can call me either one. Coming here with the first video on YouTube that I have about extemporaneous speaking. Yeah! But wait, what's extemporaneous speaking? Well, extemporaneous speaking in this context is in the speech and debate community, and it's short for Extemp, which is about 30 minutes of preparing for a speech that you have to give 5 to 7 minutes of, essentially talking about foreign and domestic issues through politics, economics, social impacts, rights, what have you. The different analysis that we have is essentially on a high school level, so it's not too advanced, but a lot of people are struggling with speaking about it, how to speak, what content to use, and how to properly construct their analysis. So without further ado, let's start talking about the first problem that I see continuously in extempors that I've competed against, and also extempors that I'm beginning to judge. And this is not necessarily for specific people, but it's for generic population of people. This is mostly seen in local circuit tournaments, as national circuit tournaments tend to have more competitive people and more people that have more practice and more experience, but new debaters can still have all of these techniques and be as successful as possible. And so I know what you're thinking, well, it's probably my content that's the worst problem. I don't necessarily know what's going on in the Middle East, what's going on in the Balkans, what's going on in South America. But it's actually not that. The very first thing that you need to be focusing on as a new extemper or even as an experienced extemper is your speaking style. Talking too fast, talking fluently, using word choice that actually makes sense, and all of those different things that are actually going to affect and leave a lasting memory in the mind of your judges. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the main things that you need to be thinking about when talking about fluency, when talking about speed, when talking about effectiveness with the actual words that you use. I know specifically I had a negative experience getting to a very far state tournament and going very far in the tournament as well, up to the point where I didn't move on to the final round because of how I spoke. It wasn't because of the content, but it was because the judges thought that I was speaking too quickly. It was because I was nervous, it was because I had too much to cover, and I wasn't trying to balance fluency and communication techniques with content, which is what people are doing in debate, and especially doing in extemp. Good extempers, amazing extempers, know how to balance between content and communication fluency. And whenever you have this balance, you're going to get number ones on your ballots continuously as well. So the first thing that you need to think about when talking clearly is your speed. Like I said before, I had a negative experience with my speed. The main thing that many people see as a problem with their speed is because they try to speak naturally. That's a main thing that you try to want to do. You don't want to speak like some kind of newscaster that's been doing it for the first time, where they try to over-enunciate all the words that they have. You try to talk naturally, and try to talk like you're comfortable in having a conversation with your judge. The problem, though, like me, is that I talk too fast naturally. So you have to have that kind of natural tone and natural tone of voice about you with that same comfort and relaxation level, but at the same time, you need to be aware of when you need to slow down, when you need to pause, and when you need to pick back up again to be successful and actually communicate the message that you're talking about in the first place. Then another major thing, of course, is to actually enunciate your words. I have some kind of problem with enunciation, so certain things don't necessarily come off as clearly, but enunciation is really important. That's the kind of artificial enunciation and real enunciation that you see in finals rounds of nationals. It's a different kind of newscaster in that they're relaxed, they're comfortable, and they can actually speak their minds while saying every single word clearly and concisely, and not speeding up too quickly. That's also another thing about speed. It ruins your fluency. It causes your mouth to actually increase the amount of saliva that it excretes to the point where fluency is a problem and you have to have awkward moments where you're either swallowing, spitting at your judge, or essentially choking back to the point where your fluency is harmed and your overall speech is harmed as well. And of course, what comes with fluency is the actual words that you say. You should be going towards some kind of a simpler idea of what different words that you want to use and what word choice you actually want to choose in the round. You don't want something to be too confusing to your judge, and you also don't want big words that are going to be very difficult to say. I know this happens to a lot of us as well, where we try to wow the judge with our amazing vocabulary, but it ends up overall hurting us to the point where we can't necessarily think on our feet as well, which is a requirement and a necessity in extemp, and it actually ruins our fluency. And as many of us know as well, if you're speaking more and more to the point where you have less fluency breaks, you become more fluent and you also become more confident in how you speak as an individual and speak towards an audience, especially towards your judge. And that confidence, being a judge myself, and being a competitor is crucial to being successful. But how do you necessarily improve your speed, your fluency, and the actual word choice that you use? Well, I can tell you that practicing in the mirror does not help as much as you think, because you won't be your strongest critic when it comes to Extemp and it comes to how you're speaking. You need to practice with other people, whether it be your fellow teammates or your coaches, which probably tell you to practice all the time. It's really important to do. And it's not just standard practice either. It's not just having 45 minutes of a 30-minute block, giving the speech and then having critiques and leaving for your house. It's practicing in other ways as well. It's starting and stopping and being asked what your analysis is about, why you chose a certain word. It's starting and stopping your speech to understand how you can improve the fluency and then restarting it. The time is not the problem. The content and analysis is not the problem. It's the speaking and how you're conveying that content and how you're conveying that analysis that's the most important, in having a building block and foundation as an extemper and as a debater as well, or a speaker in general. So you need to focus on those kind of things. General exercises could be giving a speech, being interrupted to change the topics, to change the ideas, and to change the momentum of how you're speaking, to speak faster or slower so that you know what speaking fast feels like or what you speaking slow feels like. Another way is to over-enunciate your words, to have an over-enunciated speech so that you feel what enunciating words would feel like, and also can find a comfortable level between enunciation and a relaxed and comfortable tone when talking to other people, along with talking to yourself. And the final main thing is the actual word choice. You can give a speech with an incredible amount of vocabulary words that you learned in your English class, and then you can give the same speech with simple words. Record yourself or have someone else record you and judge you and see how you could be coached into having some kind of balance between seeming like an intellect and being an intellect and simply being an individual that knows what they're talking about. And so I hope you guys liked my very first video. I know it might have had a little bit of a problem, but if you can possibly leave any comments or concerns about what I spoke about, what you can do as an individual to improve, or what I could do to as an individual to improve in my videos, would be greatly appreciated. I'm going to be releasing another video hopefully soon talking about the actual content, so that once you get your word delivery down, you can look towards content and analysis to get you even further into those tournaments, into the final round, and hopefully to a victory. My name is JW, or J-Dubs once again, and you guys have amazing Extemp rounds and have an amazing day.